Well, hello there, how is everyone? I hope you are all well, you amazing, beautiful, wonderful people, and patient, may I add. Patient, as I'm running late. I've had deliveries and stuff to deal with and contend with, but you don't want to listen to that shit. You want me to get on and talk about what we're going to talk about. You're looking amazing, by the way. How do you do it? It's that midweek hump. I know what you've been up to. Anyway, is it the midweek hump or is it for... It is still Wednesday. I literally didn't know. But anyway, I will just say, yes, a lot of you have reached out to me and spoken about Chief Fry, who is apparently leaving. He's leaving. Mixed sort of reasons as to why he's leaving. I don't feel there's anything... at this stage, I don't feel there's anything nefarious in it. He's done his service. He's probably looked at the benefit of staying on for an extra year and thought there isn't much, so he's left. The only thing that I would say is it's a little bit of a... It's one of them, isn't it? You would have thought that he would have wanted to have stayed on to see this through, but whether he didn't have a choice, maybe someone above him has said, leave, who knows? But yes, I'm fully aware that Mr. James Fry is leaving Moscow PD. I hope he has a very, very happy retirement. Anyway, knife sheath time. Knife sheath. We've got to talk about this knife sheath, and I'm talking about it one last time, this knife sheath. Because I still keep seeing people in the comments talking about this damn knife sheath. I still get emails every single day talking about this knife sheath. How can you believe that Brian Kohberger is not the person who done this crime? Because there was a knife sheath found at the site. The latest one was... How could this knife have been planted? Because if it had been planted, it would have had to have been placed with the bodies to be found at that time, and they would have had to have already known Brian's name to put his DNA on it and all this sort of stuff. Right, let's just put it this way. If the knife sheath was planted, it doesn't mean necessarily that it was planted at the scene of the crime. It may not have ever been at the scene of the crime. And remember when they said a single source DNA, and many people have thought, hold on a second, how is it that there was only one source of DNA on that knife sheath? How come there wasn't any other sort of blood or anything like that? Now, there could have been. It might have just been that they've looked at it and been able to pull away a sample of DNA that wasn't contaminated. And maybe there was other stuff on there as well. We don't know that, but it seems to say that there was only one source of DNA on there. But anyway, I digress. Point being that this knife sheath may not have ever even been at the crime scene. Didn't have to be. And we know that there was a discrepancy between what the two officers had said referencing that knife sheath and how and when it was found. So, and I'm not doing your homework for you. If you haven't figured that out already, and you're someone who's pointing out and saying, oh, the knife sheath, you go and do your fucking homework and look at the statements made surrounding the finding of said knife sheath. Anyway, but what we're also supposed to sort of swallow in this story is that Brian Kohberger went onto Amazon and purchased a K-bar knife and a knife sheath. Whether he bought them together or bought them separately, I don't know. But that's what's being pushed. What people are pushing, the guilters, is that Brian Kohberger purchased these from Amazon. Now, just stick a pin in that for a second, because he's bought a purposeful weapon to use it with intent to murder. That's what unless he's bought it and then thought, oh, actually, I've got this, I can use this. But what we're trying to say is in this short space of time, he bought this and that's what he was going to use for this crime. He normally handles everything else with gloves. We know that because he goes through the rubbish, and all of you will point out, why would you wear gloves and go through and sort out rubbish? That's really strange. No, what's fucking strange is if he is going through the rubbish and the garbage wearing gloves, but yet he purchased a knife sheath specifically for a crime and then handled it without wearing gloves. And I know what some of you are going to say. Well, he cleaned it. He had it and he cleaned it. This is a leather knife sheath, and he's not a fucking idiot when it comes to DNA. Which we're supposed to believe that he handled this knife sheath that he was going to commit an atrocious act with, and he didn't think of handling it with gloves. And we know that when he done the crime itself, he was wearing gloves because they didn't find his DNA anywhere else. Not saliva, not hair. Now, what you've got to think is, unless, and this is what people struggle with, this is what people really struggle with, okay? How minute a sample of DNA has to be in order to get someone fingered. And I don't mean like when you're 16 years old behind the bike sheds. I mean pointed and you're captured, you're caught, you're done. DNA has done you, it's caught you. This is how it is. Brian Kohberger, just say Brian Kohberger done it. So Brian Kohberger wears some clothes. He's wearing some clothes and maybe he's never worn them before, but he goes out and he gets in his car. But he's got into a car that has got his DNA in it because he's been driving it. It will have hair, it will have skin cells, it will have everything. Even there'll be skin cells and particles of him all over that car. So when he goes into that house and does this atrocious act, the clothing that he has gone into that house with will have been subjected to whatever's in that car. Do you get me? So how is it that nothing was found in that house? Nothing whatsoever was found in that house apart from a questionable knife sheath with a questionable value of skin cells on it, skin cells attached to it. And we're supposed to believe that this hell and high water mission to go over from Moscow to Pennsylvania to get trash and get DNA from the trash when they could have just swabbed his door handle. They could have swabbed his car door handle and got DNA that way. They could have gone into his school office and got DNA that way. They could have contacted the university. Are you telling me that they couldn't have spoken to the university that he worked at and said, we need to come into his office when he is not there and test for DNA? Why go all the way over to do this convoluted story? Don't make sense, does it? And I know people are going to say they did it for this reason, they did it for that reason. At the end of the day, if you think Brian Kohberger was a person who did this crime, then it's Brian Kohberger's DNA that ultimately you are going to be looking for. Now, for me, the fact that they went to Pennsylvania and this convoluted version of events is almost like that was constructed in such a way that they knew they could manipulate that situation to get the result that they needed. And again, I could just be a tinfoil wearing hat motherfucker, and I could be wrong. And Brian Kohberger would be guilty, but the fact of the matter is there are so many stupid things that we have to consider with this knife sheath that I can't succumb to the stupidity. I can't at this stage say that this guy was that fucking retarded that he did this. I just can't do it. I just can't. And then when I factor in, even if you take all that out of the equation and how easy it is for DNA to be transferred from an object to another object in this fashion, it doesn't prove anything. To me, it does not prove and will not ever prove that Brian Kohberger was at the scene of that crime when that happened. That is not enough. It is not enough. Let me know what you think down below. But that's the last time I'm speaking about this knife sheath. Sorry, ran over. Have a fantastic rest of your midweek hump, and I will see you all tomorrow.